for more on where things stand with President Trump's agenda following that, well-publicized spat with Elon Musk. We want to bring in the former Trump campaign deputy comms director, Caroline Sunshine. I'm loving the specs today, looking ever so fresh. I love it. I assume those are new. I haven't seen your specs before. Those are nice. Let me get your impression. First of all, we talked a bit about the Elon Musk, President Trump thing. I really don't want to belabor it, but there was a bit of an interesting nugget sort of tossed out there about the EV mandate. The president talked about that. He said that Elon was mad about it. Let me share this soundbite, get your reaction, Caroline.
I'd rather have him criticize me than the bill, because the bill is incredible. Elon's upset because we took the EV mandate. Elon and I had a great relationship. I don't know if we will anymore.
Now, to be fair, Elon Musk has repeatedly said he didn't care about the EV mandate, but that's the president's perspective. But let's talk broad stroke. The big, beautiful bill, will this spat have an impact? Do you think we're still going to get this thing done?
Yes, Kevin. Well, first of all, I think, President Trump and Elon Musk are both chess players. And so that's why I think they understand each other even when they don't agree with each other. And so what you just saw play out publicly, the president's going to the UFC match tonight, but what you just watched play out publicly, I think is much more akin to a WWE match. President Trump and Elon, they both understand performance art a little bit. They understand that no matter what your priorities are, it's always better to have people talking about you and engaged in what you're saying, even if it means there's conflict. And actually, conflict is really a great hook for getting eyeballs on you. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've had people texting me left and right about this public feud. I mean, my own mother, who doesn't really follow politics too closely, pinging me on it. So where I think it'll actually be a positive for the bill is you've got all this attention, all these eyeballs on it, which is partly what it's designed to do. I also think we have heard nonstop yapping from AOC and Bernie Sanders about how they're out there fighting oligarchy. No, it's actually President Trump that's fighting oligarchy. I mean, canceling that EV mandate. Elon Musk is the biggest electric vehicle manufacturer in the United States. So President Trump canceling that mandate, no matter his relationship with a highly influential private citizen like Elon Musk, that's the kind of stuff that we do in democracy, not in an oligarchy. So it's actually President Trump that's fighting oligarchy. And I guess we're going to hear crickets maybe from the likes of AOC and Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I listened to lots of the thought leaders, and I think they all agree, just tamp down the temperature, work this thing out, and do it privately, frankly. It's unbecoming to play it out in a public square, and some of the allegations that were made. But I suspect the two gentlemen eventually at some point will tamp things back down. Speaking of the big, beautiful bill, let me get your reaction to this. Is Markwayne Mullin on the big, beautiful bill, which he still feels like is going to make it over the finish line.
The House sent us a great bill to work with, so we don't have to tear down the structure they brought to us, but we may have to repaint a few walls. At the end of the day, all these ideas we're hearing from our colleagues, they're all great ideas to make the bill better, and we want to, but we have to deliver something that can get 51 votes in the Senate. It has to be able to pass the House.
Says it's got to make it over. Going to have to do some tweaking along the way. If 100 is absolute certainty this will happen, where are you on 0 to 100?
I'm confident. Well, I think that, Elon brought up a relevant point about the national deficit and his concern about the deficit with this bill. Yeah. Although I think if Elon is so concerned with the national deficit, he should have maybe cut more when he was at Doge. Doge's original goal was $2 trillion, then it scaled down to $1 trillion, then somewhere around $150 billion. So I think if Elon was so concerned about the national deficit, he should have spent more time cutting more at Doge. But let's talk about what's in this bill. And because of what's in this bill, that's why I'm confident it's going to pass. This bill reflects the priorities of the American people and why they elected President Trump. So while it might affect the national deficit, it's spending on things that, frankly, I'm happy to give my tax dollars to, and things that over the last 4 years during the Biden-Harris administration, we neglected to give funding to. Let's talk about the big three of what those are. Most importantly, we're going to give a pay raise to members of the military. I'm a sibling of an active duty soldier. I know what they make. I know how much they deserve. I know how much a pay raise is going to mean to every single one of our troops and their families. Let's talk about the fact that the bill provides funding to hire more Border Patrol officers, which, I mean,
Right.
given the fact that we had 15 million illegal immigrants unvetted pour into our country the last 15 years, that's needed now more than ever. And it also provides funding to finally finish construction of the wall on the southern border, which I know is something that the American people have been wanting for the last several years. And it's finally getting the funds that it needs to get done, because walls work. And the best way to secure your border is to finish a big, beautiful physical barrier on your southern border. So these are things that, yes, we're spending money on, but we're spending money on the right things.
Right.
And as a tax-paying citizen, this is exactly where I want my money going.
And you got to keep your eye on the ball as far as precision is concerned. You know, I think Speaker Johnson said, listen, he'd love to have a conversation with Elon Musk, maybe explain more about the process, because there will be more cuts. But you have to land the jets first to keep things going, or at least that's the perspective of some on Capitol Hill. Caroline Sunshine, I'm walking on sunshine. If you had $1 for every time somebody made that reference, you could retire now. Great to see you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you always.
Appreciate it.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.